So then, this is a nice sort of simple slide of how exactly we trigger an email and all the components that come together to make that happen. So first of all, we have a trigger program. And essentially what a trigger program is a signal going to your email service provider after someone has abandoned a cart or a browse or completed a purchase. So that trigger program is set up within freshrelevance, and it's got the detail of your ESP. It's also got a template to send out that's housed within your ESP, as well as a cart layout. So what a cart layout is, it is the abandoned products or the purchased products that get injected into that template. We then have marketing rules, so we can start to refine and personalize the emails that are sent. So maybe we want to send one email to one person and one email to another person. So this is how we can get really, really personal with how we send out those triggered emails and make them sort of less than just a simple, you've looked at this product, do you want to buy it? We maybe can get a little bit more personal with things. Thirdly, we need the email template, and that's something that's housed within your ESP, and it's ready to send out. And essentially, all that freshrelevance does is use the ID of that email to tell your ESP which one to send out. Someone comes onto your website, freshrelevance will notice that they've abandoned a product, will then send off a signal to your ESP to get them to send an email out. As a fun bonus, we can also use A/B tests or multi-arm bandit to test and optimize the trigger programs and see exactly what's works best for your customers. And we've got a really great blog that I can send around after the session on some optimizations you might like to think about. We can go through some today. Any questions on that? No. Cool. I'll hop into the system and we can go through that just after this slide here. And essentially, this is just one to sort of show the building out of an email and how it all works. So first of all, the main email content and subject lines, they are all set up within your ESP. So you can see the subject line at the top, and we've got this banner that's also within this email. We then pass over this cart layout code to your ESP with the abandoned or purchased products and the details. So as you can see here, there is this boot that's been injected into that email through the cart layout. We then can map variables into your ESP to personalize the text. So we use things called merge parameters where we can sort of add some different things. So for example, we could do some name personalization. And then also with the email personalization module, we can start to add some recommendations to those emails. So maybe someone didn't find exactly what they were looking for. Maybe we can start to add some personalization and suggest some other products they might be interested in. That will make sense for everyone. Any questions? Nope. Cool. So I'm going to hop into the platform and start to build some stuff out. So this screen will hopefully be familiar to most. This is essentially the Freshrelevance dashboard for people to go into, and this is where we can control everything that is involved with Freshrelevance. So a few things I like to signpost people to in the beginning. We have the question mark up in the top left. This will essentially say what page you're on, and then show some really nice relevant help documentation, as well as having quick and easy access link to our tactics library. So maybe you want to start thinking about different ways that you can start to optimize things in Freshrelevance. Maybe you want to try some different ideas. We've got a glossary of things in here and a load of different tactics that are really great. It'll also show you the modules that you'll need, and it'll give you a nice, easy how-to guide of exactly what you need to do to get things up and running. So well worth a look. We also have this video icon here. This will change for every single page you're on and show you relevant videos for different areas of the platform and simple ones to sort of get you started and get an idea of how different things in Freshrelevance work. And then finally, if you ever want to sort of ask any questions that are technical, then feel free to reach out to our support team. They're an incredible bunch and they try to get back to you as quickly as they can. So feel free to reach out to them whenever you need. Cool. So I'm going to hop into the triggers area of the platform, which is just on this top left-hand side with the lightning bolt. And this will bring up the management page for our triggered emails. My computer has been a little bit slow today, so apologies. There we go. Cool. So I'm just going to take everything out of this. Everything in Freshrelevance now works through simple drag and drop. So we can drag everything out and start fresh. So first of all, up in the top left-hand corner here, we can see the signal we're currently working on. So currently this is a cart abandon. However, we also have browse abandon and purchase complete. So browse abandon is after someone browses something and doesn't buy it. The cart abandon is after someone put something into their cart and as a buy it. And then purchase completed after a purchase, we can go ahead and maybe upsell some products. We could also do some things whether we ask for reviews, or maybe we can do some cross-selling as well. We also have custom signals down here. That's something to sort of look at in our behavioral targeting module, which is the behavioral targeting segment session, which I believe is coming up quite soon. So feel free to come along to that to learn more about that. So how do we start out by triggering an email? We can go onto the Add Trigger Program page here. And here we have a list of trigger programs that have already been made within Fresh Relevance. If you're new to your account, or if you've not really seen anything before, there may not be any trigger programs in here. So what we can do is we can go ahead and create a brand new one for you to use by clicking this create button here. We then have a few options to begin with. The one that we're going to focus on right now is all the ones down here. So a part of Fresh Relevance now is triggered SMS. So we can also trigger our SMS to go to people's phones instead of their email inbox. So that's a new module that's available. So now we can send up to 8 stages of either email or SMS. I wouldn't suggest sending 8 triggered emails out in one go. I think that could get quite annoying for some customers. But generally, we've seen sort of 2, 3, or maybe even 4 emails work really, really nicely. So I'm going to start out with just a nice, simple 2-stage email to begin with. And then we can maybe look at seeing what's most effective by maybe trying a 3-stage email. So I'm going to click on this create button here, and then it will bring up this page here. So first of all, up at the top, we can give this program a brand new name. I'm just going to call it WD demo for this one. And then first of all, we have the first email. So this is a 2-stage email. So we're going to send out first of all a single email after someone's abandoned the cart. And then they don't go on to buy anything from that. We're then going to send a second stage just after that. So first of all, how long do you want to wait before that email goes out? The default in here is 30 minutes. However, maybe we want to try 15 minutes, for example. Maybe we want to go for something a little bit longer. It really depends on the types of products that you're sort of dealing with. Maybe if it's a lower value item, we'll go for something along the lines of 15 minutes. Whereas if it's a more considered purchase, so for example, we have some car manufacturers that we might have looking at cars. That's quite a considered purchase. We might wait a little bit longer, or maybe some jewelry. It's quite a considered purchase again. So maybe we want to go up to maybe something like an hour or even 2 hours. So it's all in minutes. We then have the action channel, and that is your email service provider. So what happens is we have an integration set up within your ESP, and that's something the support team will help you set up if it's not already done so. And what we can do is we can set that email channel to go there. So for this one, for example, we're going to use Salesforce Marketing Cloud. However, your ESP may be different. There's sort of, for example, .digital, MailChimp, Mandrill, just some to sort of give a bit of an example of some that we integrate with. Hello, Daisy.
Hey, I think it's probably worth just mentioning at this point that we're now running triggered messaging through SMS as well as email. So everything that we're going through here is exactly the same. It would just be in that action channel. You pick the SMS route. So it means that you've got more ways of contacting your customers, particularly whilst SMS is quite new before it becomes flooded. It's definitely something to consider if you're looking to optimize your abandonment campaigns.
Nice. Yeah, definitely something to think about. Feel free to have a chat to your account manager, or if you've got any questions for us, we can sort of give you a bit of insight into how different things work with SMS. But definitely a channel we're seeing coming back into fruition. For a while, people sort of were a bit hesitant to use SMS, but nowadays people sort of read their text messages a lot more than their emails. So definitely a channel to think about as one to sort of try and use while it's nice and fresh again. We then have down here the template ID. Now this could be anything within your ESP. It could be a set of numbers, or it could be something along the lines of trigger program, Fresh Relevance. That's something that's just down to your ESP. It'll be in there. If you need to have any questions, feel free to reach out to their support teams or ours. We can sort of try and guide you in the right direction and help you find exactly what you need. But essentially within each of those email templates in your ESP will be a associated ID of that email. So for this one, I'm going to say that this ID is trigger program FR. We then have the cart layout down here. So this is the bit of fresh relevance content that's going to be injected into that email, and that's already set up within the templates. That's something you have to do. You have to set up in that email template the cart layout ready to go through, and we can preview exactly how that cart layout will look by clicking on that magnifying glass there, and then it gives us a nice preview of cart abandon, browse abandon, and purchase complete, for example. So as you can see here, it's really nice and simple. We then have the second stage, which is ready to also set up. So how long do you want to wait before we send that second email out? Maybe you want to wait a couple of days, or maybe you want to have it just after 1 day. One thing to note is that if someone does buy something off the first email, the second email won't go out. So it's a really, really nice feature. We don't want to be sending emails for the sake of it. If there's no need to send it out, we won't send it out unless you specify otherwise. Again, we have the action channel down here, and then we also have the template ID. Now, something really cool that someone might want to consider is how we maybe change it up at the second stage. So, for example, do we go trigger program, FR2? So do we want to have a different second stage email going out? Maybe we want to offer something along the lines of a little coupon, maybe at 5% off, try and drive that conversion through, or some different messaging in there, and maybe make it a little bit more simple, maybe offer some different items and things like that, something to really drive someone back to that site to make the purchase. We then also have the cart layout down here. Any questions so far on any of this? All making sense for everyone? Cool, I'll take silence as golden, so hopefully everyone's understanding where we are. We then have down here some ideas around sort of active and pause and also some advanced features. So the first thing to go over is this pause trigger program option. So if I tick this, what this will do is it will completely stop the trigger program in its tracks and stop it from sending to anyone. So that's really good if maybe you have a little bit of a worry about something or you're not really sure what's going on. You can pause it, stop it, and then we can sort of take a look and review what's going on. We also have the option to do a capture from this email address. So if you want to, for example, just stop it or have it all filter into one email and monitor what's exactly going out to customers, then you can put a capture on, so it will stop going out to customers. You'll be able to see exactly what would happen if it was running and see all the emails that could be going out. Finally, sort of for the last stage, if you want to start to test things, you have the option to do a blind copy for all of your triggered emails. So what we recommend usually is someone just sets up a spam inbox, puts that email address into there, and then all of the triggered emails that go out will blind copy that email address in, so you can see exactly what's happening and monitor everything while it still goes out to your customers. So that's a really, really nice feature just to make sure that everything's safe around what's going on. We then have some script things that's sort of nothing to worry about right now. It's only if there are any specific ideas that you want to implement, and our support team can help you with that and guide you on exactly what needs to happen. And we have some other options here around ignoring marketing pressure. So essentially, your marketing pressure is limiting the amount of emails that go out. As default, we'll only send out one triggered email per day, and there'll be a list of priorities that are set up within your account. You can ask our support team to sort of double check exactly what yours is set to like. And also the option to send all stages unless a purchase is made. So essentially, if we tick that box, then it will send all of the stages unless a purchase is made. So it's a really nice option as well to have. We then have some more script as well down here, so nothing to worry about here. Now we've got all the components set up for what we need. We can press save, and the trigger program is ready to use. Can take a little bit of time just to get it all right. There we go. Now it's giving me the notification that it's saved. I can close this window and go back. I'm just going to give it a quick refresh, and we'll hopefully be able to see the trigger program I just made. So I'm just going to drag in at this abandon here. This is another 2 stages that's been set up already. And what we can do is we can do some different things around sort of testing and optimization. So this is currently a 2-stage email that's set up. Maybe we want to do a 3-stage to see exactly what's more effective for your customers. So what makes more people convert, what drives more purchases, what's really most effective for you. So simply by just dragging and dropping it over like this, we can then test, and it automatically will set up an A/B test, start to go out to your customers. We can choose exactly what the percentages is for each of the trigger programs. So we can start off on a 50-50. If we can see, for example, the 3 stages working better, we can then push that maybe to 70% and have that going out a little bit more often, or equally, we can push it the other way and have the other one going out 70% of the time, something along those lines. As part of the advanced testing optimization module, we can also automatically end this A/B test. So the advanced testing optimization module is an additional thing that you can purchase as part of your package, and we can sort of do things where we can end on a specific date. For example, if we wanted to end it after 2 weeks, we'll end it here, for example, and we can also have that goal. So essentially, if we want to increase average order value, it will test on that, and whichever one is most effective, it will send out that trigger program 100% of the time after those 2 weeks have been met. We also have the multi-arm band as another option for testing and optimizing, where we can also have the same sort of goals, but it will start testing right away and do all of this stuff for you. So it will start out probably on a 50-50, and it will instantly see which is the most effective to go out to your customers. So which one is creating the most average order value for these people. And then it will automatically push the one that's most effective to the top, while also testing the other one just in the background to see if there's any sudden uplift. If there is a sudden uplift, it will push that one more to the top while also testing the other. And it will automatically do this right away for you. We can also just press save here, and that trigger program will now be active for you. So that will be the ones that are running on your trigger campaigns. We can click on this little report button here and see exactly what's going on. There won't be anything right now because this is a demo environment, so this isn't a real store or shop even. And also this has only just been set up, so there won't be any data behind it. But after a few days, we'll start to see some nice data collecting for your customers. So we're going to go for the off-site purchase value, or we also got the optimization purchase value as well. This has recently been added to the platform. I think Daisy will sort of give a bit more overview and context for this optimization one does.
Yeah, absolutely. So historically in Fresh Relevance, we used to evaluate our testing based on interaction, so click. So similar to if you're using sort of last click analytics and that sort of stuff in GA. But what we found was that sometimes the content that we present isn't necessarily something you click on. So banners, for example, perhaps feed into someone's purchase decision, but isn't something they directly click on. Similar social proof messaging. So what we've done is we've added these new optimization types, and this is based on impressions rather than specifically the clicks. So just to summarize those top ones there, so the ones that are start with the offsite, those are working out for the people who clicked on it, what proportion go to convert, whereas for the optimization ones, it's about of those who have seen it, who goes on to convert. So it depends what level you're looking at. Obviously, if it's a clickable banner that goes to a special place, then you're still going to want to use the offsite ones. But for particularly those sort of top of funnel activities where it's about awareness and things like that, then optimization stats can just give you another way of looking at that data more than anything.
Thanks for that.
I think everyone's fairly new on here, but just so you're aware, this came into our system a few months ago. So if you're looking at any historic tests, you won't have this data available, but anything certainly that you set up now or that has been set up in the last few months, you should be able to take a look at that.
Nice. So yeah, that's sort of a nice overview of exactly what we're talking about with this. So for example, if we go for the offsite average order value, this one will dictate to us which is the most effective increase in that order value. We can also look at the historic data as well if it's a test that's been going on for a little while. So that is the testing side of things. Are there any questions for anyone on any of this sort of side of things and testing and adding in trigger programs? No, cool. So we then also have this rules tab just here. So we can start to do some different things around personalizing based on person affinity and different things like that. So what I could, for example, do is on this rules tab, if someone from the raised cart banner signal, if the cart field is containing, oops, sorry, wrong one. If it's containing the products, with any of the products with the tag or tag value, and it contains, for example, in this case, snowboards, what we can do is we can start to personalize based off of that. So, for example, this is a complete sort of ski and snowboard shop that we've got set up within Fresh Relevance for our demo purposes. And often we can find that people that like their skis and people like their snowboards can behave very, very differently. So what we might like to do is for our people that have abandoned snowboards, we'll send them a specific email for snowboards and have some nice snowboard imagery in there, some messaging around snowboards and things like that. And then for our ski lovers, the ones that have abandoned products on skis, what we can do is we can add in something for the tag or tag value, and it's going to be for skis. And then we've got a nice one here that's already been set up as well. And then maybe if it's for something along the lines of something that's different from snows or skiboards, snowboards or skis, we can do a different one that's just a very generic abandonment. And that's a nice sort of simple use case of how we can start to personalize based on different things that people sort of are looking at online and their behavior. So that's a really, really simple optimization we can maybe try and start out with. Are there any ideas?
I think there's a lot in that, Will, in terms of optimizing the content for different groups, because people are in different spaces. So Laura and Maria, for example, with the travel industry, location's a great way to be sort of segmenting out in terms of showing people that imagery, relevant content to draw them back in. And you can change up things like the banner imagery or the sort of content you might show. So, if someone's going to a beach destination, you might want to give them a bit of content that's like the 10 best beaches in Spain. Whereas if someone's going on a city break, perhaps you want to talk about, the 5 must-see attractions. So it's trying to figure out where might you have different segments within the products being abandoned. And how you can address each of the customers' needs specifically. Yeah, Maria and Laura, I'm curious, would that be what would be sort of the biggest thing for you guys in terms of segmenting your abandonments?
At the moment, that is the actual priority we've been working through. So the first set of browse abandons that we've been building have all been by location. And that's where we're kind of starting off for our optimization.
Amazing. That's a really great one to hear.
How do I for magazine products? I'm going to try. I'm going to have a think. What kind of magazines do you sort of do, Michael?
I've been on the website, so I can attest I'm actually a subscriber to one of the magazines. So, for example, yeah, I can imagine. So, what we do in Fresh Relevance is we categorize your magazine. So, the same way we've got snowboards and skis here, we might have categories like sports or lifestyle, or children, those sorts of things. And then that's where you can change up those messages. So let's say people that are abandoning children's magazines, perhaps the messaging and the look of that email wants to be quite sort of kid friendly and vibrant and messaging about keep the kids entertained this summer or something like that. Whereas a sports campaign, perhaps you want to push people towards, other relevant sports, because if someone's into that sort of stuff, perhaps you've got a bit more leeway to recommend other magazines. Whereas lifestyle, again, there's lots of different avenues. So I think that would be where I'd start for you, Michael. Is that something of interest, do you think? Beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. Yeah, around that. I'm also thinking, for example, for pavers, one that'd be quite nice is around different kind of shoes and different kind of footwear. So maybe we'll have one for people that will have their boots, and maybe different ones for kind of more formal shoes and more casual shoes and things like that. For example, for leatherology, the kind of different bags that you do, maybe someone has a very specific affinity to a certain color or a certain type of material, and different kind of things like that. And that's how you can start to personalize off of that as well. So there's lots of different ideas for different people and different kind of markets that people might want to start to personalize off and get those triggered emails really looking exactly how they want them to. Any questions for anyone? I'm thinking one thing that might be quite nice to also talk about. I've used sort of tags here, and not everyone might be aware of what exactly tags are in Fresh Relevance. And it's something quite easy to explain, and this is how we can start to personalize different things. So essentially, a tag is a type of category that we have in Fresh Relevance. So on your website, there'll be a lot of different metadata that we're picking up from our script based on all of the different products that you have. So for example, I'm going to use the t-shirt I'm wearing right now. It's a navy t-shirt from Jack and Jones. And so all of that data might be inside of that. So we'll have different things like color, brand, size, or things like that, depending on who and what your products are that you have and all the data that's available to us. All of that data is passed into Fresh Relevance through tags, and then we have different things. We have tag groups at the top, and essentially those are different kind of up the top level things. So things like color, size, brand, and different things like that. And then underneath that, we have tag values, which come under the forms of exactly what comes in it. So for example, for color, there'll be navy, black, white, cream, blue, you name it. And then for the different brands, they'll have all the different brands that you have set up. So this is a nice way we can start to personalize off of that. We also have something called best tag value, where we can start to personalize based off those tag groups and things like that within those triggered emails and the content that you show if you have the email personalization module as well. Anything to add, Daisy, on those sort of tag type things?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'd use best tag value here, because the way that I like to think about abandonment emails is you've got a customer who's in a particular space trying to achieve something. So for example, I'm heading on holobobs in a couple of weeks going to Greece because my brother's getting married. So Greece isn't normally a location that I would go to. So my best tag value would be something else, but actually for this interaction, I was booking to go to Greece. So I'd be tempted to keep it more event specific rather than looking more widely at a person's affinities. Although that being said, perhaps there is a case, so you can add in recommendations for other similar stays or those sorts of things. I mean, we've got on the call, don't we? Yes. So for example, I imagine that affinities would be quite useful for you to add in. If someone's looking at something on the site but they generally purchase gold products because they're in some sort of gold jewelry business, well, in that case, still showing them gold products would be relevant. So I think case on case. Talk myself back around on that one.
Yeah, it really depends on exactly what kind of company you are. As you said, for the travel people, people tend to sort of be quite sort of different each time they come onto the site. But for other people that kind of have very regular purchasing patterns, it may work a bit better. So yeah, that's really, really nice to sort of think about.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely this would be my sort of number one suggestion for optimizing campaigns, because it really lifts those conversions, particularly if you think about what content you already have available. So if you've got a blog space on your website, think about banner imagery, those sorts of things, and how can you really give that person a cohesive experience with what they were looking at on site. So that would be my first point. You might, depending how granular you want to go, you might want to start with something quite simple. So just, starting to segment out some of your biggest categories. Yeah, I can imagine, Laura, that you've got quite a feat if you're setting up a campaign for every single destination you've got. So, surfacing those bigger traffic categories or locations, for example, would be where I'd think about starting.
Definitely. Something to sort of maybe also talk about is optimizations, and there's that incredible blog that you wrote a few months ago now, that we also chatted about on a specific Fresh Focus session, where we have we have 3 different tiers of optimizations. So there's nice sort of basic optimization to start you out with. We have some next level optimizations, which sort of for the more intermediate users, and we have some real advanced optimizations that can really sort of start to look at different things for different people. So I wonder if you maybe wants to cover that a little bit, Daisy, and talk about your incredible blog.
I sure can, putting me on the spot. So let me just pull it up so that I don't miss anything. No worries. So yeah, it's quite hard to know where to start with these things. And, everyone's time's really valuable and there is so much you can do. So, we want to make sure that we're starting off with those sort of higher ticket items. So we can see here the sort of personalization element, but in terms of quick wins, there's some really nice things in terms of CTA colors and text. I've seen so many research studies recently about how much changing a button can increase those conversions. And it might be something that isn't something that you settle on at some point in time. Maybe that's something where a multi-arm bandit would come in really nicely because it'll keep testing out different colors, particularly because we can see that people get a sort of a novelty effect with multi-arm bandits. So, you've got a few abandonment emails and they always look the same because they're the same sort of template, but then one day you get one and something stands out to you, instantly it's more engagement. We're creatures of habits, humans, and we tend to grey out things that are monotonous. I'm sure you've driven home from work and can't remember part of the drive. It's that sort of autonomous. So sometimes just changing something just to make something different can be really effective. So yeah, definitely CTA colors, text, things like subject lines as well, particularly if you are sending abandonments to people regularly. Just something to sort of get that bit more traction from that open. What's really easy about that as well is it's just something that you need to duplicate your email, tweak the subject line, and then copy over your program in Fresh. So, you can have something up and going within 10 minutes and you'd need minimal testing. So they're definitely the quickest wins. Some other things we could think about is some more advanced subject line personalization. So we're able to actually display the product name in that subject line. So, hey Daisy, you left your snowboard. Do you want to come back? And that's really good from engaging people at that inbox level. So that's definitely something to consider. I've missed one of my biggest ticket items. It's adding recommendations. So if you don't already have additional recommendations in your triggered emails, I would go and set that up right after this call, just because people will abandon your website. It may be because they got distracted, but it may be because they've not found quite what they're looking for, or maybe they need a bit more time to make that decision. But so by showing some other alternatives, you're increasing the number of routes to click back to site, for example, so instantly increasing that traffic, but also helping people get further down that funnel. So if I think of an example, so yeah, coming back to the Broadway travel girls, because I'm working on a travel project at the moment. So it might well be that you've not quite settled on your resort. So showing me other stays in Spain, if I'm looking at Spain, that can help me find the right product. You can also show people things that they've recently viewed but not like sort of carted as well. That can be quite nice for helping people to find it. I know I use that feature on Amazon quite a lot because I'm a serial comparison person. Which actually brings up another point. If you do tend to be subject to comparison across other retailers, then we've got some tactics that we can suggest in terms of, showing products based on price points. There's loads we can do. We've actually got a blog that I wrote the other day about what tactics you might want to use in your different abandonment programs. So we can send that one around to you as well.
Nice. Yeah, the one that you were talking about around sort of different colours and things, we were actually at a talk in London a few months ago now with a guy from a customer experience tester, I guess, that's sort of done some really interesting work around how just the sort of ambience of different experiences can influence shopper sort of decisions. One that really stuck with me, that's sort of an example, is around sort of a glasses company and how they wanted to change their branding and their different sort of colours, but they didn't know which colour to go for. So they went to them and they decided to test all of the different colours each week and see which one caused the most amount of purchases to take place, and what kind of a colour makes people sort of more able to purchase more expensive goods. And then from there, they went on and used that brand, the colour for their brand. I think it was purple in the end that sort of drove people to purchase the most expensive goods. And another one that really sort of got me was one that they did in a supermarket around sort of ambient noise in the background, and how stereotypical French music made 77% of people purchase French wines, and then stereotypical German music made 73% of people buy sort of German wine. I didn't even know that German wine was really a popular thing, but it just sort of goes to show how different things can influence customer decision without them even knowing that it happens. People get influenced very easily through their subconscious. So yeah, trying different things like that is very, very important. Nice. Are there any questions from anyone? We've got sort of a lot of people on here, a lot of new information to take in, so feel free to ask any questions. And if there are any use cases anyone wants us to cover, then feel free to ask.
Perhaps it's worth showing a few other ways that we could personalize the program. So I think basket value is a really nice one, particularly for sort of more premium goods. Nick, for example, I imagine this would be something that would be helpful for you if we went into triggers. But we can essentially look at the whole price, so the value of a shopping cart. So for higher carts, perhaps you want to give different information. You might want to give discounts, for example, but not for smaller purchases. You can also do it with purchase quantity. So in terms of getting people who have large baskets or large orders, and how might you want to interact with those differently? That can be a really nice one to think about as well.
Yeah, I think those are really interesting. Leatherology, we have kind of moved away from sales per se. We still have them a few times a year, but definitely interested on how we can use this in a different way. So like, reaching certain thresholds, maybe they get free shipping after a certain point, or we tell them that they have, and I know this is different, but working in like you have so many dollars until you receive free shipping. So
yeah, we've actually got that one written up. So if anyone does want to add in sort of any delivery messaging, so let's say that you you have free delivery at £100. If someone's carted £75, we can dynamically give messaging to say, hey, if you spend another 25, you'll reach our delivery. And we can also show recommendations that match that as well. So being able to show products that are in that sort of 25 to £30 range to try and help get to those baskets. So I think I've seen that from a couple of our clients, and it's been quite successful as well.
Sorry, Daisy, you mentioned like shopping competitors and potentially maybe using that data to present price.
Yeah, so for example, we were working with a office supplier and they stock Dyson hand dryers, you know, the air blades that make your skin go all funny.
Yeah.
So they're stocking those, and actually they don't really make much profit on those items because of the deal they have with Dyson trying to stay competitive. So what we did was we put in a rule so that people that were abandoning Dyson products, we were actually sending them a different campaign that was very much focusing on the other equivalent hand dryers, maybe putting reviews in that even mention Dyson, so saying that the product was better than, because that was a real challenge they had. They also had high comparison across their other items. So what we discussed doing was in a second or third stage of their abandonment, we'd actually recommend lower priced items to them, or at least within sort of their regular browsing pattern. So we were being really price focused so that you can show your sort of your lower value range to try and get those conversions back. It wouldn't be something I'd go for on the first stage of the email, but obviously when you're getting to second and third stages, you've got that waning engagement. So that at that point, bringing them back to convert on something, even if it is a little bit lower, at least you're bringing in that conversion, and then you've got that relationship to build up to a repeat purchase. So there can be merits in that.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Thank you.
No problem.
Nice. We'll send that one round to you actually, start the session. So the one around free shipping and also the one around sort of how we can sort of start to filter things based off of maybe the profit margin as well. We'll send that around to everyone just because everyone loves a bit of content to sort of get their teeth stuck into. Just looking through to think of any other great ideas for different people that are on the call right now. If there's anything that anyone may want to kind of think about optimizing straight away, or maybe things that people may want to try and give a go on their trigger campaigns. I think it's really important to try and be kind of a bit different with things, and maybe not always kind of stick to the status quo of it, and try and be a little bit sort of different, and maybe a bit quirky with how you kind of work things out and get those trigger programs running. So yeah.
Oh, nice example for travel. You could potentially pull through the dates that someone was looking at and then show different campaigns based on how far away. So if someone was looking at booking a stay for in a couple of weeks' time, perhaps that messaging relies a bit more on the social proof element. So, quick, that we need to be urgent here, your holiday's coming up and you've still not booked it, versus something that's longer away, which you might want to sort of have a slower build up. So it could be the content in the emails, or actually the send times could vary as well.
Yeah, that pulls through into Fresh, doesn't it? Because I've kind of struggled with trying to figure out whether that is actually pulling through for us.
Okay, let me note that down and I can raise a ticket with our support team and we can just get that checked out for you,
Yeah.
Laura.
Because yeah, that would certainly, because we've just added social proof as well, so adding in the sort of so many people are booking now sort of style thing in there as well would really help.
Yeah, social proof is definitely, we've not spoke about it much, but it is really good for cart abandonment emails. Both in terms of sort of urgency, but I think as well confidence. If people haven't converted straight away, perhaps they need a bit more reassurance about the products or the brand they're looking at. So showing their popularity really does give those confidence indicators. So definitely suggest, if you've not got that set up, to take a look at it.
One that I've just seen and just thought about is maybe our top buyer as well. That's a really nice, quick and effective rule. So essentially we can have different analytics periods that we go over. So on this one here, we have it set up for 30 days, 90 days, or a year. And essentially the way the top buyer is set up is it is the person that's within your top 10% of your revenue makers for that set period. And maybe you want to treat them slightly differently. Maybe you want to kind of give them a bit more of a VIP experience, and maybe show them some more high value items, and have some different messaging in there. Maybe even you have some sort of a loyalty scheme that you kind of involved with, that you got to sort of sign up to. I know that some of our clothing sort of retailers that we work with have sort of VIP cards they have set up. So that's a really, really quick example of a way that we can start to personalize for different people. Another one we have in this person as well is the purchase price prediction. So what we could do is we can use the different sort of affinities of people and start to personalize off of that. So someone that's in your higher, someone's most likely to purchase a higher price product, we can maybe start to add some sort of messaging in there and show again higher value items to those people. So really simple sort of rules that we can add in that can make your trigger programs even more kind of personal and kind of get a bit more effective with different things.
Could be nice to target people who would generally purchase at a lower price but had a high basket value, because that's a group of people that might need a little bit of a marketing cuddle.
Yeah, so maybe offer a little discount or something, or maybe some nicer recommendations or things like that. It's a really nice sort of example there, and that'll be involving sort of stacking rules as well. So we can have this purchase price prediction in here. We're going to put that one onto low, and if in the raised cart abandon signal, we go for the cart field. If the value of the cart is greater than, for example, 100, then if it is on both of these, then we can maybe have a little bit of a different kind of play on things, and maybe offer some different things to different people. It's a really nice example there. Nice. There are a few minutes left for any kind of last questions or any kind of points anyone wants to make. Either just a bit of feedback on the session today. No, quite a bunch today. Anything to add, Daisy?
No, not really. I guess just a note to reach out to us if anything's kind of excited you today and you want a bit more information, or if you want any guidance. We'll also send around those blogs, and they're great resources, even just to get you thinking about bits and pieces. And we've got some great resources to assist you through those optimizations. But like I said, sometimes it's nice to speak to a person rather than reading documents. So do feel free to reach out to us at the customer success email address, and Will or myself will get back to you and we can get you rocking and rolling.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today, and feel free to reach out to us if there are any other questions. Take care, everyone.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you later.